The night sky was quiet. At Earth's deep space listening station, high in the mountains, only one man was awake. Commander Ryan. A former space pilot, now worked as a data analyst. His job was boring listening for radio waves from space. But tonight something changed. Suddenly, the computer beeped. Alert. Unidentified signal detected. Ryan leaned forward. The signal was repeating. It wasn't just noise, it had rhythm. It had structure. He adjusted the frequency. Static cleared. A broken voice came through. Human, my children, need you. His eyes widened. What the hell is this? He whispered. He recorded the message and sent it to the Earth Space Council, but no reply came. No one believed him until 3 hours later, when Earth's satellite network picked up something strange. An unknown object had entered the solar system. It was not a comet. It was a ship. 4 days later, above Earth orbit, the alien ship didn't answer any messages. It didn't attack. It just floated quietly near the moon. Then a small escape pod detached from it and headed straight to Earth. Fighter jets were sent, but the pod crashed deep in the desert before they arrived. A team was sent to recover it. Inside the pod, they found something no one expected. In the medical center, a tall, thin alien woman lay, unconscious. Her skin was pale blue. Her clothes were torn. Beside her were two small children, also alien, but different. Their eyes were bright, glowing faintly like stars. The woman slowly opened her eyes. Doctors asked her questions, but she could barely speak. Her voice was dry and weak. Then she looked at Commander Ryan. Her lips moved. She pointed to her children. And then she said the words that would change everything. They said I was worthless without a male, but I came to the only place that protects its young. Human, my children, need you. Then she passed out. Back in the council room. The Earth Council was in chaos. Why would she come here? One officer asked, "Is it a trap?" Another shouted. Commander Ryan stood silently. He had heard the message before. He had seen the children's faces. He couldn't forget them. He spoke calmly. "She's not a soldier. She's a mother." The room went silent. "We don't know who she's running from," he continued. "But if she came all this way, risking her life, maybe she believed we would help." At the research lab, doctors examined the children. They were not ordinary aliens. They were hybrids, a mix of two alien species. One of them possibly human. The children had strange energy inside them. They could sense emotion. When scared, lights around them flickered. When calm, their presence felt warm and peaceful. One scientist whispered, "This is more than a rescue. This could change everything." Meanwhile, in deep space, far away, hidden in the shadows of space, a giant black ship hovered. Inside. Figures in armor watched the screen. The screen showed Earth. A deep voice spoke. "The widow has reached them. We must retrieve the children before they awaken." A second voice added, "If humans protect them, we will destroy Earth too." Back on Earth, that night Commander Ryan sat beside the alien mother's bed. She was still weak, her breathing slow. The children sat near her, quiet and scared. He looked at them and said softly, "You're safe now." The older child looked up at him. Slowly, he reached out his hand and touched Ryan's arm. Ryan felt something, a deep sadness, and trust. He knew then, these weren't just alien kids. They were survivors, and they were the target of something much bigger than anyone knew. Ending. Narration. Voiceover. In the vast darkness of space, one message traveled across the stars. Not a warning, not a threat, but a cry for help. A mother's last hope. And Earth's first step into a war it didn't start, but could be the only one to finish. Opening scene, 17 years ago. Planet Wireless. Sky was always red on Wireless. Not because of beauty, because of ash. The world had burned long ago in wars. Now only the strongest lived, and only the males ruled. In a narrow alley. A young female, barefoot and bruised, ran for her life. Soldiers chased her. They didn't call her by name, they called her useless. But she had a name. Wait, Rent, flash forward. 3 years ago, Sirintha. stood quietly beside her husband. Carbon, a high-ranking warrior. He was one of the few males who treated females with respect. For that, others called him a traitor. He didn't care. He loved Saranta. And when their twin children were born, one boy, one girl, he said something she never forgot. These children, they are hope. And hope must be protected, even if it costs everything. Tragedy comes. Hope did cost everything back KV. Ren refused to follow a brutal order. He refused to burn a village full of unapproved females and children. He was executed. The same day, Saranta wasn't even allowed to cry dot instead. She was punished. The council declared, without a male, a female has no voice. Her bloodline must end. Her children were marked for destruction. That night, she ran. Escape, and the human plan for weeks. Sarantha moved between dark tunnels and abandoned starports. She heard whispers of ancient stories, told in secret, stories about a race that protected the weak. A race that didn't see females as trash. A race that had defeated larger empires with heart and courage. Dai, her husband, had once met a human in a trade mission. He told her that humans feel more than they fight. She made a choice. She would reach Earth, even if it killed her. Back to the present Earth. Medical facility. Syntha woke up with pain in her bones and sorrow in her eyes. Her children sat beside her, safe, quiet, watching everything. Commander Rayan entered the room. He didn't speak. He just handed her something, a small food packet and a cup of water. She looked at him carefully. He didn't demand answers. He didn't treat her like dirt. He simply said, "You're safe here. For now." Tears welled up in her eyes. Not because she was weak, but because for the first time in years, someone had seen her as more than just a widow. Secret revealed later. As Earth scientists studied the children, they found something strange. Their DNA had human markers, not from Earth, but something similar. One child had psychic sensitivity. The other could heal small wounds just by touch. One doctor whispered, "These children, they could unite species." Another one replied, "Or start a war." Enemy moves in the dark far, across the stars. The High Council of Virilis discovered that Sarantha had reached Earth. "Activate the hunters," the leader ordered. "We must bring back the hybrids. They are a threat to our bloodlines. And a shame to our law." A small dark fleet was launched. Fast, quiet, and merciless. Rayan's realization in a secret briefing. Rayan was shown the children's scans. He asked, "Are they dangerous?" The scientist shook her head. "No, but if someone controls them, they could be turned into weapons." Rayan looked through the glass window at the two children playing with a toy, laughing softly. He didn't see weapons. He saw innocence. Closing scene. Sarantha's words, later that night. Sarantha sat with Rayan. She finally spoke, voice soft but clear. "I never wanted war. I only wanted them to live. I came to you because you still believe in protecting the innocent. Please, don't prove me wrong." Rayan didn't answer right away. He looked up at the night sky through the glass roof. Then he said, "You believed in us. That has to count for something." The night was calm. Too calm. Inside the base, alarms were silent. Lights glowed soft blue. But one man didn't sleep. Commander Rayan stood alone on the balcony, staring up at the stars. Then he noticed it. A single star blinking, then vanishing. Stars don't just vanish. He turned to the security officer nearby. "Run a scan. I want to know what's hiding up there." Within seconds, the computers found it. A shadow, cold, silent, and moving. It wasn't natural. It wasn't Earth-made. And it wasn't answering hails. "We are not alone tonight," Rayan whispered. Cut to secret lab under Earth's surface. Layla, lead xenobiologist, reviewed the children's energy scans again. And again. But this time, something changed. The younger child, Lyre, was drawing shapes in the air with his finger. Glowing symbols followed his motion, like light trails. "That's not play," Layla muttered. "That's code." She enhanced the view. The symbols matched a forgotten alien dialect used only in Forbiddens. "Science." Her assistant blinked. You mean ... weapon code? Layla's face turned pale. No, not just weapon. It's navigation, coordinates. He's remembering things he was never taught. Meanwhile, inside the enemy ship, deep in space, a sleek black warship hovered beyond Earth's moon. It had no lights, no markings. It was made for one-thing hunting. Inside, a tall figure watched a live feed of Earth's orbit. The widow reached them, and now the children awaken. Another replied, "Shall we strike?" The leader shook his head. "No, not yet. Let them grow attached to the humans. Let them believe they are safe. Then we break them. Back on." Earth. Strange occurrences began. Power flickers in the lab. Security cameras shut down for 7 seconds. One child wakes up screaming from a dream. "He's coming," he says. "He found us." Commander Rayan rushes in. The older child, Myra, points. To the ceiling, there's something watching, but it's not alive. The hidden threat revealed. Layla examined satellite logs. For 2 nights in a row, Earth's satellites shut off exactly when the stars vanished. The readings suggest a cloaked ship. Technology far ahead of anything Earth knows. They run a deep scan, pulse boom all electronics spike. A hidden object is revealed just outside the moon's orbit for only 3 seconds. But that's enough. It's not a ship, Rayan says. It's a hunter, and it's waiting for US to make a mistake. Sirithus Truth Surentha, still weak, is told everything. She nods slowly. They sent the Shadow Fleet, trained assassins. They don't speak. They don't feel. They follow only one rule: erase the shame. Rayan asks, "What shame?" She looks at her children. Them, half-bloods, they believe. Mixed blood is corruption. They believe these two will bring unity, and unity is death to tyrants. Decision time, protect or surrender. The Earth Council demands answers. They fear war. They fear what the children could become. Some say, send them away. Others say, use them. Rayan says nothing. Instead, he walks into the children's room. He sits beside them. He doesn't give orders. He just asks, "Do you want to stay?" Mira nods. Liar grabs his hand. "You protect us." Like he did. Who? Rayan asks. Our father. Rayan's heart tightens. This is more than protection now. It's family. Final scene. A warning arrives in the sky above Earth. Satellites flicker again. A message appears on every screen across the secret base. Not in human language. Not in alien tongue. In blood red. Symbols. Translated. It reads, "Return the hybrids, or Earth will burn with them." Everyone in the room stares at Rayan. He says only one thing. Then we make Earth the one place they can't touch. Opening scene. Global broadcast. Earth Defense Network. No one expected Earth to reply so boldly. Every major screen on streets, ships, and space stations suddenly turned on. A human face appeared. Commander Rayan. He looked directly into the camera. Calm, strong, unafraid. To the ones hiding behind our moon. You sent us a threat. You sent us fear. But Earth doesn't surrender children, ours or anyone else's. If you come for them, you come through me. Scene cut. Military hangar, Earth Defense Force. The air was full of noise boots on metal. Engines warming up. Orders being shouted for the first time in 20 years. Project ShieldNet was activated. Dozens of defense satellites rose into orbit. Space mines were deployed. Cloaking scanners went live. But this wasn't just about machines. It was about a choice. Decision Earth had to make: protect 2 alien children, or protect itself. Rayan made his choice. And soon others followed. Meanwhile, the children prepare in a secure room. Mira and Leah are trained under Dr. Layla's watch. Their powers were still raw more. Emotion and skill. Mira could feel intentions. She warned of danger before it arrived. Liar could touch memories, reading objects like books. But now, he did something new. He closed his eyes, touched the metal floor, and said, "There's something under us, watching." An agent checked the schematics. There was no tunnel under that section. But when engineers scanned deeper, they found it. A drone, Alien, buried, active. Earth. Hadn't been preparing for war. War was already here. Syrenta single quotes us, warning in the medbay. Syrenta woke up from a vision, not a dream. A memory her children passed to her without words. They are testing Earth, measuring your fear. Once they believe you won't fight, they won't send soldiers. They'll send me erasers. Rayan asked, "What are erasers?" She looked away. Creatures born without identity. No past. No future. Only orders. They wipe planets clean, not with fire, but silence. Back to space. The enemy reacts on the wireless command ship. The Earth broadcast played on repeat. Double quotes. If you come for them, you come through me. The enemy commander laughed once, coldly. So, the humans choose death. A smaller ship was launched. It carried only one thing. An eraser-class infiltrator. No weapons. No noise. Just disappearance. A race against Shadow's Earth. Picked up the new object only 23 minutes before it would reach orbit. Rayan ordered full lockdown. Kids, moved to an underground chamber. The safest known place on the planet. Only 6 people knew the location. But Rayan knew one truth. The infiltrator would find them anyway. The first clash at 3:41 a.m. The base lights died. For 12 seconds, there was only darkness. Security teams armed with plasma rifles moved through the corridors. Then came the scream. One guard vanished mid-step. No sound, no blood. Just gone. Myra started crying before it happened. Liar held her hand. He's here. Rayan didn't wait. He ran toward danger, not away. Face to face, the middle of the long, dark hall. He saw it. Not a monster, not a soldier, just a shape. Like a man made of mist and metal. The eraser. It didn't speak. It moved like a shadow and rushed toward Rayan. Rayan raised his weapon. Fired. Nothing. But just before the eraser could strike, a wall of blue light erupted in front of him. The children had arrived. Together, holding hands. Together, they protected him. Narration ends the chapter. They came to erase the weak. They expected surrender. But they forgot one thing. Humans shield. Their own. Even when their own comes from the stars. Opening scene. Earth orbit 217A meet started with silence. Above Earth. Thousands of satellites drifted as usual. Quiet. Peaceful. Then, one by one, they went dark. No sound. No explosion. Just black screens. The humans didn't know it yet. But the sky was dying, and the real invasion had begun. Meanwhile, Earth Defense HQ Commander Rayan stood before a giant screen, watching red dots multiply in orbit. "They're not cloaked anymore," said a technician. "They want us to see them. There were 12 ships at first, then 20, then 50. No message, no demand, just presence." Rayan clenched his fists. They don't want war. They want to erase the idea of resistance. In the underground shelter, Syrenta held her children close. Her once tired were now sharp. She had seen this before. "This is not an army," she said. "It's a ritual. They don't fight you. They break your world piece by piece." Liar suddenly whispered, "They're inside the system." A nearby screen glitched. Then another. The base's eye shut down. Lights flickered. Defense locks failed. They were under digital siege before a single weapon was fired. Cut the streets of Earth across major cities. Tokyo, Nairobi, Sao Paulo, New York panicked through. Traffic lights failed. Power grids overloaded. Air raid sirens howled. People ran. But not everyone in every city. Small groups of humans stood their ground. Firefighters turned into guardians, nurses into defenders, soldiers into shields. The world had faced aliens before in stories. But this time, the story was real. And Earth didn't plan to die quietly. Back in space, enemy formation tightens. The enemy commander gave no speech. He simply raised a hand, and hundreds of black drop pods launched from orbit, like iron raindrops falling fast and silent. Each one carried an eraser. No face. No name. No mercy. Earth's response. Operation Skywall. Inside the command center, Rayan gave a single order. Launch Skywall. A swarm of drones activated from hidden bunkers across the planet. They rose like birds of light fast, synchronized, and ready to intercept. For every pod falling, a drone met it halfway. The sky turned into a silent war zone of flashes, crashes, and smoke trails. But some pods got through, on the ground. The first Battle 1 Eraser landed in the ruins of an abandoned factory outside Berlin. Before it could move, it was surrounded by a dozen humans armed only with light guns and strong hearts. They didn't wait. They attacked together. They lost 2 men, but they won for the first time in history. A human team took down an Eraser without alien help, and that story spread like fire. We can win, one by one, together. Children stepped forward at the Earth base. Mira and Liar stood in front of the strategy map. They didn't look scared. They looked ready. Mira touched the glowing cable. She spoke softly. They're not just attacking. They're harvesting. Fear. Confusion. Energy. That's what feeds them. Rayan asked, "Can we stop it?" Liar looked at him and nodded. "Yes, but not from here." Rayan raised an eyebrow. "Then where?" Liar pointed up. Their command ship. Closing scene. 1 ship. 1 team. Rayan looked around the room. Scientists, soldiers, refugees, children. A mix of Earth's best and 2 children not born here, but chosen by it. "We take the fight to them," Rayan said. 1 ship. 1 chance. 1 message. He turned toward the launch bay. This planet may be small to them, but it's home to the only species that never learned how to quit. Opening scene. Inside the enemy ship, the walls were black. The air smelled like rust and smoke. There was no sound, except footsteps. Human boots. Commander Rayan moved slowly through the corridor, plasma rifle ready. Behind him, Myra, Liar, Dr. Layla, and a 4-person strike team. Yes, humans were now inside the enemy ship. Hell. They used the same cloaking code Liar drew in the air back in Part 3. A code buried in his blood, a key left by his father. They weren't expected. And that was Earth's greatest weapon? Surprise. Flashback. The mission briefing earlier that day. Rayan stood in front of a tactical display. We don't match them in size, or tech, or numbers, but they underestimate us. They think we protect the children because we're soft. But we don't protect the weak because they're weak. We protect them because we're strong enough to choose to. Everyone in the room knew this wasn't just a rescue. This was the first strike. A message sent not in words, but in action. Back. To present, deeper in the ship, the team found pods. Hundreds of them. Inside. Other hybrids. Young. Unconscious. CRYO-locked. Dr. Layla gasped. This isn't just an army. It's a factory. Sirantha had been right all along. Her children weren't the first. They were just the first to escape. Liar placed his hand on one of the pods. The lights flickered. The child inside opened. Its eyes. She whispered, "Are you human?" Liar nodded. And for the first time in that ship, someone smiled. Meanwhile, Earth held the line back on the planet. Erasers kept falling. But humans had learned their tactics. Street fighters in Brazil, miners in Siberia, farmers in Kenya, college students in Chicago. They all fought now with drones, hammers, or their bare hands. The enemy wasn't used to this. They came to break a planet and found the people that refused. Back on the enemy ship, the heart, the strike team reached. The core chamber, the control center of the entire fleet. Inside floated a tall alien being. The arch-mind. No eyes. No mouth. Just voice deep and inside their heads. You cross borders not made for you. You protect what should be erased. Why? Rayan raised his weapon. Because we're human. That's what we do. The arch-mind laughed. Emotion is not power. Unity is not strength. Myra stepped forward. You're wrong. Look around. You steal children. We raise them. You command with fear. We move with love. Then she and Leia joined hands. A pulse of energy filled the chamber. The arch-mind staggered. What are you doing? Dr. Layla answered. You were never afraid of the humans' weapons, but you should have feared what we teach their hearts. Turning the shipyard touched the core. Symbols lit up codes that responded to him. He whispered, I can change it. We can make the fleet stop. Myra added, but it'll hurt. Ryan placed a hand on their shoulders. Then we hurt together. And we end it now. The children focused. The ship shook. The entire fleet paused Dot for the first time. The invasion stopped. Earth's skies cleared. Closing scene. The enemy falls silent from Earth. People looked up. The black ships. Turning. Leaving. Powerless. Dot. No more attacks. No more signals. Just silence. Commander Rand's voice echoed across the global net. To those who thought we were weak, you forgot what makes us human. We don't run from fear. We face it. And when the darkness comes, we fight with light. Opening scene Earth. 1 week later, the sky was quiet again. No black ships. No sirens. No shadows in orbit. Just clouds. Just wind. Just peace. Commander. Rand stood at the edge of a cliff overlooking the valley, where the final eraser pod had fallen. The ground was scarred, but green things were already growing through the cracks. Behind him, Mira and Lear sat on the grass. They weren't just survivors anymore. They were part of Earth. Cerinthus. Final moments. Flashback. In the medical chamber. Aboard the enemy ship, Cerintha had known her time was ending. Her body was too weak. Her light was fading, but her soul, her purpose was complete. She took Rand's hand. You're not just a protector, she said. You're what my world never gave me a choice. She looked at her children one last time. Be more than what they feared. Be what they never imagined. She smiled, and then she was gone. A new beginning. The Earth Council met in silence. No more debates. They had seen a fleet fall. They had seen 2 children bring peace. And they had seen humanity grow beyond fear. Rand spoke last. They came to break us with power. But we found something stronger. Purpose. He stepped aside. Mira and Lear stood before the crowd, not as aliens. Not as weapons, but as Earth's youngest citizens around the world. Rebuilding begins in Brazil. People lit lanterns for the lives lost. And the one saved Dot in Japan. A child placed a flower at the foot of a statue newly built. A human and an alien standing side by side. Dot in the stars. Earth's drones now carried messages, not warnings. We are human. We protect life. We do not forget the fallen, but we also build for the ones still to come. One last visit. The memorial tree in a quiet garden at Earth's unified base. A tree had been planted. At its roots. The names of every human and alien who had died protecting the children. Rand visited it often. But today he wasn't alone. Myra held a small crystal in her hands. It's my mother's memory, she whispered. I want to bury it here. Lyre nodded. She brought us to the right place. Together, they placed the crystal beneath the soil. The tree shimmered just for a moment, as if it understood. Final scene. Sunrise over Earth. The 3 of them, Rayan. Myra, Lyre stood at the edge of a field. No soldiers. No alarms. Just sun. Rayan looked at them and said, with a smile, So, ready for school. They laughed. Not forced. Not nervous. Free. Because they weren't hiding anymore. They weren't running. They were home. Closing. Narration. Voiceover. They said she was worthless without a male. They said the children were a threat. They said humans would never protect what wasn't theirs. They were wrong. Because humanity is not built on bloodlines. It's built on choice. And when we choose to stand, when we choose to protect, we become more than just human. We become hope.